What's poppin', everybody? SaberWolf94. Gonna talk about a little bit about the Pokemon meta we've got these days. Yeah, this is gonna be about the best decks and what I feel is gonna happen. Just a little talk, that's it. So, our latest set right now is Crimson Invasion, and we're gonna get uh, Ultra Prism pretty soon, pretty much in 1 month. You know, 1 month, a couple of days by the time I'm recording this. It's right around the corner. It's in February, pretty much, early February. So it's right around the corner. So, to my surprise, I really thought that something like Gardevoir GX was going to be wrecking shit. Like, you can't kill that deck. And it is kind of true still. This is a very big meta deck, Gardevoir. It's been fucking things up since it got out, pretty much. And it seems though the deck, it won the European Championship as well, and it's another very big meta deck. People would say it's probably the best deck right now, maybe. I don't know. Golisopod GX with his buddies, Zoroark, and a bunch of other suspects, a bunch of other cards too. So you've got that deck too. You've got, maybe people still play the Volcanion shit, what have you. You've got your Greninja deck here and there. Uh, maybe people still try, just some general decks were just good general cards that can work on their own, like with Drampa and Garbodor and those kinds of simple decks, simple sort of a haymaker style decks where you put the best cards in kind of thing. And you got Registeel too that came out, you got Solgaleo Metagross, that deck is a real thing, and Registeel helping out. And we're gonna have even more metal shit coming out, and that's the thing. So when Ultra Prism comes out, metal Pokemon are getting a lot of support. Like, even like not taking into account if something like Magnezone is going to do shit, I think it's going to. I honestly think it's going to, but even if we don't take it into account, Solgaleo Metagross has already proven to be a real deck, and supporting that set is not going to make it worse. It's only going to make it better. Uh, you got the fucking Duskmane Necrozma, and that's basically like the Solgaleo GX that you don't have to evolve. So if you still want to run, your Metagross kind of Solgaleo shit, that makes you even faster. That deck makes you even faster. You only have to get stage two Pokemon out as opposed to two. And, that's pretty powerful. It doesn't do as much damage, but it's going to do enough to get the job, honestly. And it's got a good GX attack too and everything. We're also going to get like the Dawn Wings Necrozma, and that's basically, from what I understand, it's pretty much a Keldeo EX with the Russian. It's got more HP, it's got better attacks, it's got a resistance too, and it's got Keldeo's ability. So it's going to be a much better tech, much more flexible card, while having the valuable effect of Keldeo EX's Russian. So that's definitely going to make something like fucking Golisopod maybe even better. But it also helps just about everything. It helps pretty much everything. And that's another thing. So there's also that. So a lot of people, I'm pretty sure, think and say that, Gardevoir GX is going to die out, is going to fade out. When all the metal shit comes out, it's too many things going against it. And that is very true, but at the same time, not the case. It depends on the triangle of decks, of the top decks, and the top decks in general. So for example, when you have something like Gardevoir that fucks everything up, if something is a solid deck that's a perfect counter to it, people are going to try and play it, like with Metagross and Solgaleo, or just metal decks in general. And a deck like that is also not bad against other decks. So, it gives you that, okay, I've got an auto win probably against the best deck or the most dangerous deck, and a solid matchup against other decks. So I'm good to go. So it becomes that kind of thing. And then because, a little bit more variety is added because of that, you know, Then you got the fire decks that are going to aim to beat, the metal decks. And then you got Golisopod. That's just a solid matchup against a lot of shit. So that's why people think, okay, this is the most well-rounded deck doing a lot of damage for one energy. I got a solid GX attack to fall uh, to fall back to as well, and Golisopod, just the stage one, solid shit. You know what I'm saying? So it makes that sort of triangle. So yeah, metal decks are going to get even stronger, but then if fire decks become more popular, and then other decks become more popular, then Gardevoir kind of gets a pass once again because of that variety. Then it's not completely out of the window. So for people that use Gardevoir GX and love it and have done okay with it, but think that okay, we're gonna have to put this down or get rid of the deck or just not use it. Maybe if you got a lot of metal going around you, like in your tournament areas, or if your instinct tells you the deck is going to be everywhere, then yeah, maybe in the beginning put it down, but you shouldn't give up on it entirely because, you know, if the game is healthy and is in a healthy state, there's going to be a lot of decks that perform good. And then when there's that variety, it's not like everybody's going to be playing metal. So Gardevoir should have solid matchups here and there. You know, that's how things are. Because, yeah, if everybody's just playing metal, then Gardevoir isn't going to be any good. But we're going to have to wait and see. The cycle is usually this. It's going to be popular, then there's other things that are going to be played to oppose it, or something else is going to come up, and then eventually Gardevoir is going to be a solid pick once again. Might surprise people, but their deck is very solid. It basically just loses to weakness, basically, and has more trouble with low energy decks, but it's quite powerful still. It is a very strong deck. It's the easiest deck to use as well. You just have to get a bunch of Gardevoirs out too. You just have to get a bunch of Gardevoirs out. That's it. You get a bunch of Gardevoirs out, attach energies, and easy. You get knockouts left and right easily because because it does so much damage. You've got Galetta's backup too. It's just a solid deck still overall. So yeah, it's gonna have trouble with metal, but I don't really think it's an auto win. Just like in previous formats that, people think, okay, this deck is gonna be dead now because of this and this. But, if the deck is good and, there's a healthy array of decks that can perform good, and there's variety in the metagame, that deck is still going to perform well as well, you know, if there's going to be variety. Like, how many decks in the past have people thought, okay, this deck isn't very good, or this deck, uh, it's done its part, and then they keep performing well, or they surprise people, or maybe they do take kind of a small hiatus and then come back. I can think of like Darkrai, even Landorus, damn Landorus EX, going back into the, you know, SP shit, thinking about Gardevoir once again, maybe decks like Kindra, decks like Gyarados, shit, like even something like Rayquaza EX, was kind of like meh for a while for people, and then it kind of rose up again with Raybor and shit. So, you can never be too sure. And if a deck is very good, like very, very good, it's not going to be complete shit just because of something that counters it. It can still do shit. Uh, like I said, if there's a healthy array of decks, if there's like some sort of triangle of decks, or like the trilogy of the deck, okay, this deck beats this deck beats this deck, and this deck beats this deck, or just in general, a good amount of decks. Because I'll tell you what, if the format was ever like there's only one deck to rule them all, this has happened in the past, but like nothing beats it for a long time, then it's just people are just going to play a counter to that deck, and the counter to that deck would be solid anti-meta and would work. But yeah, that's the gist of what I had to say. I really feel like metal decks are going to be very good when Ultra Prism comes out. They're going to get even better. They're already very good as it is. And I've already made a video talking about fire techs and what have you. If you play something like Gardevoir, I think that's a very solid deck that has a good matchup for. I mean, it's got the inconsistency issues with decks like that, but if you want to try that in expanded, I feel like it's pretty good. It can do well against something like fucking Gardevoir because you can get one-hit knockouts on that bitch. You can get uh, you got the fire, of course, advantage against metal decks. You got a solid matchup against other shit in general, older shit for expanded. And something like Galissapod isn't even that amazing in expanded. I mean, it's still good, but you know, it's not going to be a problem if I start knocking motherfuckers out in one hit with Rayquaza. Now, of course, there's item lock. Of course, there's you know, shit like Night March, which is just too broken. But uh, it's a solid option, at least for me. Looking at the decks that I use, it's probably the most solid option as a meta call, as opposed to using maybe something like Ray Eels that I would use in expanded. But that's the gist of it anyway. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys subscribe, leave a like, share this with your friends, and I'll see you guys next time. SaberWolf94, what's up?